welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review, number 176. And I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ. Of course, Aaron Rift is here, Jargo is back, and Mikey T is back. Gentlemen, what's going on this Thursday evening? Mike?
What's going on, guys? Aaron, Doctor, Virtue, what's going on, y'all? Appreciate the opportunity to come back and join the review. Man, what a week it's been, especially with the news we got today of Cesaro. What does this make? 11 years he was with the company? You know, Cesaro leaving the company, that's a big topic for tonight. But also, what an Elimination Chamber, man. I mean, the Goldberg match didn't really go the way I expected, but we'll get into all of that stuff as we talk in the review tonight, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, though.
Good to have you here, and I want to shout out to Colin the Cleaver Andrew. I forgot to do that the last couple of weeks, but he is in the chat. What's up, Jargo?
Oh, you know, just hanging out and being cool, you know, watching it snow again.
That's what we do here, and, you know, there's nothing like to do a review on a snowy night here in the Midwest.
Man.
Aaron, is it snowing where you are too?
No.
No. Wow. Must have
We're
skipped
supposed
Michigan.
to get it tomorrow.
It's coming down pretty good here right now. You know, they were saying you're going to get like, 1 to 3 inches, and, it's going to start at like noon and go until midnight. And it started at like, 8 o'clock this morning, and there's already 6 inches of snow on the ground, and I have to go to work at 11 tonight. So yeah, good times. Woohoo. But I'm happy to be here to kill a little bit of time, let the snow fall, and then I'll go hit the snow blower, and good times, man.
You'll be a little extra chipper tonight then during the review and these topics. I like it.
Let's do it.
Aaron, what's up?
Not much. Been a pretty busy week. We had Elimination Chamber on Sunday, coming off Raw with the build for WrestleMania. And, of course, today, the big news, Antonio Cesaro, no longer with WWE. We will be talking about that and what's next for him. As Virtue said, it looks like Tony Khan might have yet another toy to play with in his sandbox, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Virtue, I know you guys want to get your thoughts on Elimination Chamber, final thoughts on it as we now move forward towards WrestleMania 38.
Well, yeah. So, Mike, I'll start with you. I mean, predictably, Roman Reigns is still the Universal Champion. He, of course, went over Goldberg. And Bianca Belair is now the number one contender to Becky Lynch. So those were the two notable. Oh, and Brock Lesnar won the WWE title.
Oh, yeah, and.
See, I kind of like so expected it at this point. Like, to me, it was just like, whatever. So those were the big happenings from Saudi Arabia. WrestleMania season is set in motion, at least for the major title matches. So what do you think here, Mike?
Well, also Big G and Jerry, Aaron, you remember, they all got lucky as hell when the Uso match with the Viking Raiders was canceled.
Right?
They all, Jargo, you wouldn't believe it. They all picked the Viking Raiders to win the tag team championship. It was pretty much, one of the oddest picks in the history of predictions I had ever heard.
Could you imagine
getting smacked in the face for that?
Could you imagine flying halfway around the world only to have your match canceled?
God,
did they get paid for
got
it?
Paid, I guess.
That was that's one of the biggest paydays these guys are getting, I'm imagining, but so the Elimination Chamber, it was decent. The Goldberg match with Roman Reigns didn't go as I would have liked. It went like 5 minutes. I really wasn't feeling that match. I didn't like the tap out ending or the knockout ending. I would have rather it just happened to be a straight up match where he hit the spear. I don't see any other superstar that could really one move finish Goldberg at this point, so I thought that was really the thing they should have done with Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar taking the championship back. I should have expected it being his first chamber. I was okay with it, but I just don't really understand. It seems to me that they were not sure of their direction. They were not sure of their direction for the WWE Championship come WrestleMania, kind of similar to what happened with Asuka a few years back when they just took the title off of her and put it on Charlotte. if you guys remember that. And then they put the two champions together with Ronda Rousey. But Elimination Chamber was cool. You know what I mean? It was cool. But like Aaron said, why book that many matches if they don't want to just give themselves the time? They could have easily given themselves another half an hour.
That's true. Now, Jargo, Lashley was hurt, banged up. Whether he got banged up against Brock at the Royal Rumble, got re-injured at all, training or part of this match, they needed to do something with the WWE title had they not already planned to give it on Brock. So what's your takeaway here? Oh, and by the way, for all of those fans that were just so upset that Becky came back and beat Bianca in seconds, Bianca now, whether it happens or not, we don't know. At WrestleMania, back-to-back years could have big wins, big title wins, and we'll see what happens. But what did you think about the fallout heading into now WrestleMania, the home stretch here?
Well, I feel like we more so have the fallout as we head towards Madison Square Garden. They were pushing that rather hard on Raw. I know they're having problems selling tickets, but so now the Lashley thing kind of really comes into play, and that intrigues me greatly how much of this is a work, how much of this is a shoot, because it sure seems like we are setting up to do something other than Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar inside of MSG. And in doing so, do they pull the trigger on actually changing the title? Just because we're advertising that this is going to be champion versus champion at WrestleMania, that isn't necessarily the case. Could we see somebody like a recently re-signed AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar? And is it believable for AJ to beat Brock? Yes. I mean, it's a very good match. We've seen that. You also have the Cody thing in your back pocket. How does he play into everything? Is he going to play into any of this after his name kind of went over like a fart in church a couple times on Monday Night Raw? There's still some twists and turns before we get to WrestleMania. We're going to get Brock Lesnar. We're going to get Roman Reigns. How many titles are going to be on the line? I'm not sure even WWE knows at this point.
Now, Aaron, you already talked about, obviously, during your recap, so I don't know if you have much more to add to this, but like we at least know now what these main event matches are going to be for WrestleMania.
Right. And as far as Bobby Lashley goes, when I did my recap, I did not know about the injury, and that makes it a little bit better to accept. They had to come up with something, although I think I would have just preferred if they had announced Lashley's hurt, the chamber match is going to crown a new WWE champion, say it in advance. And like I said on the recap, what they did on paper, I'm sure it sounded good. The execution was not so good, in my opinion. As far as the WrestleMania card goes, it's shaping up quite nicely. I do think it's going to be title versus title because they are advertising it now, and it seems very un-WWE-like to advertise something and not deliver on that. And they've been teasing it for weeks now. I'm thinking that's pretty much a sure thing, regardless of who's facing Brock Lesnar at Madison Square Garden. I sense Lesnar will retain the title. And Jargo, you mentioned in the chat maybe John Cena shows up for a one-off. I would be up for that. I would be up for any kind of surprise at Madison Square Garden, but maybe announce something in advance just to get people talking, and maybe even consider putting it up on the network.
Well, to be fair, that was Jose Garza's call. I was just agreeing with him. So okay. Props go to him for that. But the problem with that is, from what I have heard, they are really struggling with ticket sales for Madison Square Garden for this show. And that's why they're kind of doing what they're doing. But if you're going to do John Cena versus Brock Lesnar inside of Madison Square Garden, I would think they would want to advertise that. That's not going to be a surprise appearance.
Right.
I mean, Madison Square Garden is so expensive. Like, they just need to drop the ticket prices. Like, it's just absolutely insane.
Yeah. They're not going to just eat the cost on that. I mean, and they're not going to paper the Garden.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, you said the WrestleMania card is shaping up to be good, but Revolution is a stacked card, man.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
looking like one of the best cards in years.
To who? Diehard wrestling fans who care about in-ring rate?
Well,
work?
That's
it. That's it. Nobody cares about that besides
300,000 people that are going to buy the pay-per-view, and
250,000. Aaron's right. It's in that market. Do you think WrestleMania?
Did you see what pay-per-views used to be back in the day? How many sold? Yeah, 250 is not that much.
Yeah, but it's significant in today's
I would
standards.
say it's a good amount considering WWE gives you content for $5 a month.
I
Well,
think
it's stacked. What, like a New Japan show is stacked to Jargo, and he admits that. Like AEW stacked to who? To the wrestling fans. Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people. That's pretty damn impressive.
While we say that the card for Revolution is stacked, let me ask you a question, Mikey T.
What's up?
There's good matches on it, yeah.
What's the main event?
Yeah, the main event is kind of like a mid-card style main event.
If you don't know the main event a week out from the show, this is not a stack card.
Sure,
that's just how I feel about it.
The main event is the world title match, and I sense that will be the closing match. But I think as far as build-up goes, CM Punk versus MJF is the main event.
And they're promoting it that way too.
The main event's going to be a great match, Jargo. We're going to see Adam Cole and Hangman Page on a bigger stage than they've ever been before, and then we've got all these other matches that are selling points to me. CM Punk and MJF has been built crazily. Y2J or Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. This is Kingston getting his big moment, which it might be a little bit of a giveaway. And then we've got this intriguing feud with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, where we don't really know where it's going to go. Is Bryan going back to being a face, or are they going to start molding some of this? Is it going to be like a new dangerous alliance? But I'm saying this might be better than WrestleMania, Aaron.
Yeah, it might be.
But to be clear, my point is, I don't feel like Adam Cole versus Hangman Page sells pay-per-views. I don't feel like the casual fan just kind of surfing and seeing Adam Cole versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. I don't think people are going to click on that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's why. Brand.
And that's why they've got all these other matches to fall back on. So Tony Khan can build these younger guys like Hangman and Adam Cole while he's falling back on his Sting match, and he's falling back on the collar match, and the and the Jericho match. He's got those fallback matches, and then everybody at the end is going to see how big of a spectacle Adam Cole is coming from NXT. He was the main guy on NXT. And you know what? Everyone's been busting his chops about being such a mid-carder. Now he's getting that opportunity. But I don't really like the way Tony's been building it, putting him up against 10 and Evil Uno. You know what I mean?
For me personally, I feel like the real main event of this show, if you want a headline with the World Championship, headline with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, because I feel like that program has more heat than Adam Cole and Hangman Page.
There you go. There. WWE's done that, right? Do it. So enough about Saudi Arabia, because that turned right into a topic of about AEW Revolution, which, by the way, is what we're going to talk about next, because Buddy Murphy, he's there. Another little pawn, another little chess piece, another little toy for Tony Khan to have in there. Jargo, I'm going to start with you because you had some interesting things to say about this over on the Virtue Show on Vito's channel. But so Buddy Matthews is in AEW now. Jeff Hardy's looming. Drake Maverick re-signed with WWE again. And Cesaro is now a free agent. So have at it here. I mean, Tony Khan's got to be licking his chops.
Boy, I mean, you talk about three completely different situations when you bring up all those names, right?
Yeah, we'll put it all into one topic.
Yes. I'll kind of start with the Buddy Matthews thing, because I think people are making this out to be a much bigger deal than what it really is. When you look at Japanese pro wrestling and Japanese booking, they're very, very big on factions, right? But when you look at those factions, there's always that one guy. In Los Ingobernables de Japón, his name is Bushi. In the Bullet Club, his name is Yujiro Takahashi. And Suzuki Gun, his name is Yoshinobu Kanemaru. they're the pin eater. If you're having a 6-man tag match, you got to have somebody that can eat the pin. And that's what I feel like Matthews is going to be for the House of Black, whether that be for better or worse. I do like the Matthews signing because I feel like he has a lot of upside. I think he's really, really talented. He just needs some kind of character direction. And hopefully this House of Black thing will give him that kind of path. The Jeff Hardy thing is a legacy signing. And I mean, you already got Matt. You might as well bring in Jeff, see if you can get one run out of the Hardy Boys. I just don't see that as necessarily being a big deal in 2022. It maybe sells a few tickets. I don't think it'll be a needle mover in any way, shape, or form. Cesaro is the interesting one because he's a professional wrestler who's been stuck inside of a sports entertainment company for the last 11 years. And we all kind of feel like Cesaro has been misused, which I do agree with, but I think the IWC, the wrestling community, had always had more aspirations for Cesaro than what he was going to get from Vince McMahon as the lead on a TV show, right? For American TV. I mean, English is not only not his second language, it's like his seventh. Let's be serious about this. Cesaro's not carrying a 15-minute promo segment. But in AEW, where you can go out there and have a 20-minute match and tell your stories inside the ring, Cesaro's going to be a main event player, at least when he comes in, and it's going to be a matter of what he does with that opportunity. The AEW fans are going to be really happy for him. I expect he'll be put into a big program right off the bat and see what happens, what he makes of the opportunity. He could be at least that top of the mid-card flirt with the main event challenge for the title kind of guy who's just going to be that absolute workhorse, very similar to what we've seen out of Bryan.
Hey, and do we give Drake Maverick credit for being able to go back to the same company that keeps releasing him?
Well,
I mean, that's like incredible.
I think this is the best landing spot for him, right?
I know, like
backstage and creative. I mean, he was never going to be, the biggest wrestler in the world. People have a lot of fun with Spud, but I mean, let's be real about it. He's not a spring chicken in any way, shape, or form. He's not the biggest guy. He's going to be a manager, or you're going to work backstage and creative. I think he's found a great landing spot.
So, Aaron, I'm going to come over to you here with all this. Here's the thing I'm going to say about Cesaro. He's a great wrestler, right? There's no doubt about it. I enjoyed when he came in and had the U.S. title and Oksana by him and all that stuff. That was his early days. But he's not a WrestleMania main eventer because he's not in that sports entertainment bubble for that. Like, he's a mid-card WrestleMania Andre the Giant Battle Royal participant winner. So obviously this was inevitable. If he does have some gas left in the tank, it's going to be where he can be a professional wrestler. And people shouldn't be mad when I say somebody like Cesaro is not a WrestleMania main eventer. I'm just saying his skill set is never going to thrive on that platform because it's different, right? Jargo would agree. It's going to thrive where he can do that wrestling match and do the moves and tell the story. And it's perfectly okay, people, that he's not a WrestleMania main eventer, but he could be an AEW main eventer. So, Aaron?
I was surprised to see that he's no longer with WWE just because I felt like he was a good hand for them. And yeah, he was never going to be that top level guy. And perhaps he should have been given more of an opportunity. For all those years on NoDQ.com, he was voted for the most underutilized of the year. Several times people have told me I should rename it the Cesaro Award. The guy, when he talked, wasn't so great. I'm not sure what happened with the whole Paul Heyman guy deal, but he could have benefited from a manager. And I think that he is a guy that could have been very useful for WWE in many different ways, but apparently he decided to not accept a new deal with the company. His contract extension was up and they tried to sign him to a new deal, and he decided to take his career elsewhere, which is fine. That's his decision. If he's not passionate about being there, if he's ready to move on and try something else, then more power to him. AEW has a very crowded roster, but I think it's almost 100% a certainty that he goes to AEW. He is a work rate guy all the way, and that's what Tony Khan loves. He's going to get a job with AEW, no doubt, and perhaps he'll do some other stuff as well. He might go to Japan. Maybe he'll show up in Ring of Honor when they reboot. There's a lot of options for the guy, and I think he'll be just fine. Whatever he does, he'll succeed. But part of me thought that he was going to stick around in WWE and maybe become a trainer after he retires, and he'd have some kind of role there. He's a guy you would like to have around to help out some of the younger talent. And at least in the short term, I think that he'll get some opportunities. Maybe he'll feud with Adam Page at some point. He'll be up there for a while. I'm happy for whatever he does because I think he'll succeed and he'll be just fine. Best wishes to him.
In long term, is Cesaro a victim of NXT 2.0? Because Aaron, I completely agree with you. I thought he could have stayed on as a trainer down at NXT, but now with NXT 2.0 and the format change, is there even a place for somebody like Cesaro at the Performance Center as a coach?
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's hard to say what would have been done with him 4 or 5 years down the line. And yeah, he's 41 years old, so he got his opportunity last year. He got to feud with Roman Reigns a little bit. Maybe they could have done more with him, but at the end of the day, WWE is going to keep moving forward. They're bringing in new people, and things are just changing. But it appears that they wanted to keep him around and just didn't work out. He decided to take a chance somewhere else. And as Cody Rhodes might say, he's betting on himself.
But I do feel like rather than somebody that we've seen like really, really damaged inside of the WWE booking, people look at Cesaro and they just feel like he's been underutilized. And the second he walks out on that AEW stage, he is going to feel like a much bigger deal in AEW than he ever felt like he was inside of the WWE.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I hope that he can perform at the high level that people expect from him at his age. But yeah, I think he's got at least a couple more good years in him. I'm thinking the guy's in tremendous shape. I mean, even when he was on TV a couple of weeks ago, I mean, the guy hasn't missed a beat. He is still at the top of his game cardio wise. And, you know, he just does some really impressive stuff in the ring. Not a great talker, not a great sports entertainer, but a great pro wrestler.
Any super chats, Aaron? I thought I saw one come in.
Yeah, we actually do have a couple. One is on a different topic, so maybe we'll get Mikey T's thoughts before we move to that other one. But yeah, This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. He says, people call Vince McMahon a genius, but he wasted Cesaro. Shaking my head. Huh?
Dude, time out. Dude.
I push back on that.
Wait. Yeah, Jargo. Oh boy. Look, Vince McMahon doesn't run a professional wrestling company. He runs a sports entertainment company. He bought it from his father, and he turned it into a $1 billion worldwide conglomerate because of like the Hulk Hogan's, the Steve Austins, the Rocks, the John Cena's, not the Cesaros. How do you take millions of dollars, maybe even only hundreds of thousands of dollars, and turn them into billions? That's when you are a genius. Jargo, what do you want to say?
United States champion, 5-time Raw tag team champion, 2-time SmackDown tag team champion, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, Slammy Award winner. He won for best tag match in 2018 as part of the Bar. I mean, Cesaro had a pretty damn good run. And when you look at, if you say you're going to get an 11-year run inside of the WWE, but you're never going to win the title, this is about the best damn career you could hope for.
Yep.
Hey, Jargo, let me just say I agree with you on that completely. A lot of people say that he's being misused and they should have done this with him. They should have done that with him. But like you said, he had a pretty solid run. 11 years. He was a regular on TV for the most part. I mean, there were a few times where he would disappear, but he had a lot of big moments in WWE, and he was a regular on television for over a decade, and that is hard to do. Not a lot of guys can have that kind of longevity in WWE because sometimes Vince gets tired of his toys and he moves on to play with something else.
Well, he wants the toys that make him millions of dollars.
Yeah. Now, Cesaro was never going to be that top tier guy. And I don't think he's going to be a top tier guy in AEW in the sense of being like the world champion. He might get a title opportunity, but at 41, I think he'll be there and he'll be like Bryan, where he'll have some interesting storylines and feuds, but at the end of the day, he'll probably be putting over the guys like Hangman Adam Page and MJF, which was kind of what he was doing on SmackDown. He put over Roman Reigns and put over Seth Rollins and that kind of thing.
As long as Cesaro doesn't get Claudio, as long as he doesn't get the Christian Cage treatment in AEW, right, Jargo?
Yep. And it's like, I remember when somebody made a comment to Tyler Breeze on Twitter about how his career was such a disappointment. And Tyler was like, I own 4 houses. I've been around the world multiple times and I lived my dream job for a decade. What are you doing with your life? Is it a disappointment? You know, it's just like,
right.
He's got a point there. He's made millions of dollars, toured the world, has 4 homes. Like he's set up. Like, yeah, he did all right for himself.
Yep.
Hey,
yes,
we do have a super chat from Walter Cruz. He sent in $5. He says, not everyone could be a top talent. You need a balance. Sorry, sometimes it's just not meant to be. Love Cesaro, but he just didn't fit that mold. He made money.
Yep. And a wrestling card needs to be balanced. It needs to have main event, upper, mid card, and whatever else. And Cesaro did everything pretty much but main event. Mikey T, your talk on this topic.
So, yeah, I was just looking it up, and it looks like when you Google it, Cesaro's net worth is $3 million. So, it's like what Jargo was saying. These guys, they get to live their dream. We've seen it play out with guys, John Cena, the whole thing with the title belt. We've seen people say, I had the same dream as John Cena. You know what I mean? So they get to leave their dream. They get to make tons of money. And then more than likely retire afterwards unless they want to go wrestle a little bit more. So before I really dig into the Cesaro topic, I do want to say this is obviously why Cesaro stopped getting that push back around. I think it was Backlash when he was going up against Seth Rollins, and he had actually defeated Seth somewhere around that time.
WrestleMania.
He defeated Seth at WrestleMania, and then what did he face? Roman at Backlash afterwards?
Correct.
Yep. So he was getting a push there, and they were really about to, put the rocket on him, at least keep him up there hovering in the upper mid-card to the main event. But look what he's doing on the couple weeks ago SmackDown, his last appearance. He's losing to Happy Corbin, So Cesaro could have stuck around in the WWE and put other people over. They let people stick around for years. Look at Dolph Ziggler. He's been around putting people over so long that he's going to NXT to put over Tommaso Ciampa. But so what's Cesaro going to be doing in AEW? He's more than likely going to be renamed Claudio. That'll be cool. I think, like Aaron said, he'll be put up against Adam Page. I hope they do that. I really didn't like what they did with Brody, just throwing him up against, Moxley at Double or Nothing. But I kind of see something like that happening if they get Cesaro. Another way I could see Cesaro's career playing out is coming into the Revolution ladder match, which I don't think is a good idea because that should be Keith Lee's showcase.
Right.
I think he's got too many of his new fancy toys in the sandbox at this point. So I think you got to hold back on Claudio, bring him in as Adam Page's next hot feud to keep this thing going with Adam Page as a consistent champion, because this last week, these last 10 days is really when I started to feel that fire from the Adam Cole and Hangman Page feud. And like Jargo said earlier, on the show, if you don't know your main event for a show, then, is it really a stacked card? He pointed out a pretty good point with that. So let's talk about Buddy Matthews.
Buddy. I like him. I know
really-
Jargo told me it was kind of bland. WWE didn't work out because he didn't have a character, and there you need one.
He's WWE creator wrestler number 7. He just
But, like,
has no
I
personality.
feel like it was
See, I
a
feel
missed
that way about
opportunity.
Daniel Garcia.
Cut
Yeah,
the
I feel like
chance.
Garcia's in that same kind of category.
Yeah, like
And
just
Buddy
a missed
Murphy's trying to
opportunity.
stand out. He's trying to stand out, Virtue. You know, he cuts his pants. He lets half the pants be cut, half of them. You know, he's trying to do a little bit different than looking so generic like Daniel Garcia, Aaron. You know, he's trying to do something a little bit different. But it's like the Cleaver said, when he stands there alongside Brody and Alistair, he looks naked. He has no tattoos. He looks like a baby face, in the words of Chris Jericho.
Cut as hell right now, though. I'll give him that.
But but the thing about it is, you can see the storyline they're already trying to play out. They're trying to play out this storyline of he is being used by Aleister Black. You know, Aleister Black is bullying him. You know what I mean?
So they definitely need to have a feud. If you remember that match, those matches they had in WWE, dude, they were like probably shooting in those matches. Like that's how much they wanted to get it over.
So I'm just wondering, where do they go with this? Do they break Buddy Matthews apart, or do they have? Because I don't see, because y'all know that Aleister Black, Malachi Black, and Brody are actually the tag team champions elsewhere. So I would assume they would keep them going towards the tag team titles in AEW, whereas Buddy Matthews would go for the television title. So their faction does not have a clear contender for the world title. So, or they could go with the thing with Buddy Matthews breaking apart. You know, there's a couple different options here. So
I think I kind of would have liked this a little bit more if they would have aligned Penta with the House of Black and let Buddy Matthews and Pac be boys. Like Penta betrays Pac, and then he brings in Matthews as his backup, and it just kind of realign things a little bit more. I think it would have worked out a little bit better.
Are the Butcher and the Blade going to be brought into the House of Black? That would be cringe.
Oh.
I don't think so. I don't even think they really fit, because like you were saying, we already have the tag team division kind of covered.
Okay. Those are two guys that might not be sticking around once their contracts are up, I'm thinking.
And they're
the Butcher is good though. The Butcher is really good, but he's injury prone, right?
They got a very crowded roster.
Yep, you got to let go at some point. Now, Aaron, you got some super chats that came in?
Yeah. First of all, the Black Greek Mafia sent in a $2 super chat. Says, R-Truth needs to go to AEW with the 24/7 title, LOL.
I could actually see that happening. I could see WWE filming a vignette where R-Truth would show up where an AEW show is and like get stopped at the door, and because R-Truth just was going to work and he just went to the wrong building. I could absolutely see that happening.
I don't know. I think they might be running out of funny stuff for R-Truth, which means, you know, but look at what happened with Santino Marella back in the day. They had something for him every single week, but then when he got injured, they sort of ran out of storylines. And when he got back to health, they didn't really have nothing for him. So it's like when they lose their consistency. So that's why Truth is good right now, because they got a consistency with his writing.
As long as we get the blow-off match between R-Truth and John Cena before Truth hangs it up.
Right.
That's going to be in GCW.
Oh no, that's got to happen at WrestleMania, man. That's R-Truth's WrestleMania moment right there. His childhood hero, John Cena.
Childhood hero. We got to have it happen. All right,
it happened at Capital Punishment.
Capital Punishment. Oh yeah, that's right. Rematch from that all-time epic pay-per-view, Capital Punishment. This guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Says, what the point of new stars if you always use the old one? Anybody?
What does he mean by that?
This one?
They're still looking for the stars.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're talking in a WWE context, please tell me who their new stars are.
But like he's probably saying all these people like Buddy Murphy, Cesaro, they never let any of these guys be stars. Well, to Vince McMahon, maybe they're not the stars, right? That's why they're not there.
Maybe he's talking about like Kevin Owens and and now they're bringing in Cody. You know what I mean? When they got guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn who they're holding back, but they're going to bring back Cody Rhodes, who had been relevant since like 2005, 6, 7, 8, you know?
Yeah, there's this comment here, and I saw this on Twitter too. I'm not sure the origin of it, but apparently they have 129 men and women on the roster. Maybe it's from their official website. That is a lot of people.
AEW?
Yeah.
There are huge differences in those contracts.
Right.
I mean, just because you have a contract to show up and work a couple of matches on Dark does not make you an AEW signed talent,
Right.
even though you have a contract with AEW.
Exactly. We got another super chat here, which I guess will kind of move us in a different direction here a little bit. Going back to the whole WrestleMania thing, Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $5 super chat. He says, so are they finally unifying the two titles, or are we getting a repeat from WrestleMania 36? I think he meant 35, right? With Becky 2 belts. That was 35. But yeah, I do not think they're unifying the titles. We've talked about this. I would like to see it happen, but I'm thinking they're just going to do the dual champion thing, and the winner, I'm hoping Roman Reigns will drop the WWE title to somebody. But anybody think they're going to unify it?
Right, Aaron, you were saying that you in the world you would like to see Cody Rhodes actually come back and take the WWE Championship and lead Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Sign me up.
That would be a great signing point. You know what I mean? I had said last week, I think WWE is signing Cody Rhodes for a similar price to AJ Styles. I think they got him for like $3 million, $2.5 million a year. And that's why he decided to go back. Well, so why not put the belt on him, man?
Yeah, they can afford it for sure. And you know what? With Cesaro not signing a new contract, that's all the more reason why Cody needs to be doing well in WWE. So people want to be in WWE and not want to go to AEW.
Yep.
But Virtue, you cannot. Can you see that Vince McMahon letting Cody Rhodes get the 1, 2, 3 over Roman Reigns if that were to happen?
No, Cody's going to come in and he's going to beat guys like Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Edge. We'll talk about all that. AJ Styles, and then he's going to lose to Roman Reigns, maybe Brock Lesnar. That's my gut feeling if this all plays out like I think it will. Because
I seriously wonder if Vince kept the receipt. Can he return this slightly used Cody and get his money back? Because after what happened Monday night on Raw, I really wonder how Vince is going to view Cody.
Do you think though, Jargo? Because what happened, Aaron, is Jargo pointed out to me that those like references about Cody dashing and stuff like in the Miz promo, the Edge promo didn't pop anything. Nobody like got it. Was that too cryptic, you think, for the WWE fans, and that's why they didn't like get it? Because that was so long ago. Like, you know what I mean? Versus what if Cody showed up? Would those fans then be like, oh, versus the cryptic? Maybe they just didn't get that in the promo. Well, like you and I would.
Let me put it like this. Okay. I don't know how much crossover there is between the AEW audience and the WWE audience. If you are a strictly WWE watcher, and let's say you tune into 3 or more hours of Raw, and that's all that you watch. Maybe you watch the pay-per-views on the cock. Are you even going to know who Cody Rhodes is? Cody's been gone for a while now. Like, are people even going to remember?
You watch the network, the Peacock, the past stuff.
Right. Like, are people even going to remember Cody? Does the WWE universe know who Cody even is at this point?
I think it's probably a mixture of people that do remember him, but they were in South Carolina, which is not one of WWE's hardcore markets, and probably a lot of families there and more casual viewers. And yeah, I think if it was like Madison Square Garden and that line was used, I think people would have popped for it. But South Carolina, a lot of kids and families there, probably not.
If the WWE viewer, even if they remember Cody, when Cody comes out, are they going to be like, oh, that's that guy who was the Intercontinental Champion?
Right.
Probably. Or they'll be
and more importantly, is that how Vince feels about him? Does Vince just view Cody as, oh yeah, we got this great mid-carder coming in?
This is intriguing. I just want to see how, like, he could go back to AEW for all we know. But
I mean, you never know. Anything can happen. Anything's possible. Now, real quick, we do have a few more super chats, and I wanted to get to one last week that I missed.
Oh, at the very end. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mr. Anderson, I'm not sure. I haven't seen your name in the chat room tonight. Maybe you're here or not. I don't know. But anyways, Mr. Anderson had sent in $5 last week. He said, Rift versus Virtue in a ladder match on WWE 2K22. I'm going to book it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah,
I hope there's blood in that game.
Highly unlikely in all likelihood.
There wasn't any.
Give me Roman Reigns attributes when you do it, please.
Yeah, give Virtue the Roman Reigns tattoo.
No, the attributes, the skills. I mean, they probably have them jacked up for that game.
I think I would need Steve Austin to even have
it. Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to a couple more of these super chats. The Black Greek Mafia sent in $5. Thank you for that. Says, Nyla Rose and Sonny Kiss contracts will not be re-signed when their deal is up. And I'm not reading the rest of that, but thank you for the super chat. We will quickly move on.
I agree about Sonny Kiss. I disagree about Nyla. I think Nyla resigns.
I also wanted to say, I think The Miz sold it really well, like really blurring the lines if it was Cody Rhodes or not, all the way up until the end. Like he hits you with the sports entertainer and he hits you with the great athlete. You know what I'm saying? Because Cody Rhodes is both.
We'll talk about that briefly about Logan Paul here. Aaron, you had more super chats?
Yes. Walter Cruz sent in a very generous $10 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Much appreciated. Says, what do you think of Roman Reigns vacating the WWE Championship the next day, saying, I don't need both belts? Then they can do a tournament for the vacant belt, and Reigns doesn't have to lose it at all and stay strong. Okay, I'll start. I think that's a terrible idea. Makes the title look very second-rate, and that's the WWE Championship. Like, how do you just say, I don't want the WWE title, the title that Bruno Sammartino held, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and so on? Terrible idea, in my opinion. Reigns needs to drop it if they're going to do the double champion thing. Mikey?
I want to say in regard to that, I think if anything, Reigns takes the WWE Championship, they merge the two titles, they get rid of the Universal title, if anything. I'm thinking they just go back to the WWE Championship.
He's got that run with the title. I don't think they're going to just merge the titles and say there's no more Universal title.
They're going to merge it and just say it's one run.
Does that really count, though?
I mean, does Becky Lynch saying what she's saying really count?
No,
I think the title will just merge at that point. Like on the on where it says all the championship holders, it'll merge and the date will just keep on going.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's just weird to me. I think he's got to be a double champion if they're doing the title for title. I don't think they can
so. Double champion. I just don't know how it ends with either title if he is a double champion and how long they'll have them both.
Loses the next night on Raw.
Like I almost feel like because it all depends on how long he's going to go. Like, are they going to get to that 1,000 days as the Universal Champion? Do they want to have him lose a title match for the other title? There's a lot of different ways that can go. I think, and that's right. What if Brock wins both titles? That's more likely for the other title to come off of him.
Yeah.
Right. If Reigns has them both, you almost like he's going to be with them both. So a little bit of mystery is okay.
I don't feel sold on the fact that Roman Reigns is Vince's favorite son and that he walks away with both titles. I think that Vince's favorite son is Brock Lesnar. And I could see Vince wanting Brock to be that double champion, not Roman.
Well, Brock is advertised for WrestleMania Backlash, which is interesting.
Yeah, but it's still limited dates regarding TV. The only contingent to that, Jargo, is if Roman does have planned time off.
Absolutely.
Then he's dropping the title for sure.
I mean, even if both guys are going to be around for through SummerSlam, even. Yeah. I mean, I do not feel like it is a foregone conclusion that Roman Reigns walks away with both of those titles.
I mean, I like that going in, but not really know. Like personally, that's going to be electric, man.
If it's me, I feel like the babyface wins that because then you can have somebody screw the babyface by having him defend both titles individually on the same show. He loses one of them, and then the titles are split again. But I feel like you want to do that to a babyface, not the heel.
Touché.
Yeah, but I don't see Roman Reigns losing one night after WrestleMania. If they're going to put both the titles on him, it's going to be to make his championship run a little bit more interesting and string it out all the way to WrestleMania 39. Now, I'm not saying he's going to have both titles all the way then, but he'll have it for at least another 3 to 4 months, just like they're doing things right now with Seth Rollins and then Goldberg to keep us all intrigued going into Mania so we don't get too bored with it.
Yeah. Mr. Tito says he was tired of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at the end of last year. Been there, done that. Yeah.
This is the third time it's happening this year already. I really don't understand how they are justifying this as a WrestleMania main event. We've seen it in Saudi Arabia. We've seen it at day one.
It's because the roles are reversed.
Day one.
What'd you say?
That match did not happen at day one.
Hold on. Oh, it did not.
It did.
It happened at
Saudi Arabia.
No, COVID.
So it happened. When did it happen?
That's the only match they've had since Roman turned heel.
Okay, so it only happened once.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
And this is the rematch, champion versus champion. I'm looking forward to it. I know people are sick of it. This should be the last one. They really can't follow this one. They should not be running it back at WrestleMania Backlash. This should really be the last one, but I've been enjoying the feud overall. Now, the Black Greek Mafia.
Well, they could run it back one more time, Aaron, at WrestleMania Backlash. I'm sure the cock would like that.
Yeah, they probably will. Anyway,
Backlash on the cock.
It's going to be a whole lot of backlash.
Sounds like the Democratic platform going into midterms. Backlash on the cock.
They always ran back the Rock and Triple H, man. Why can't they run back the Rock and Brock and Reigns? But anyways.
Isn't it funny? Like Rock and Austin had 3 matches at Mania over the years. And like people like Tito, Lesnar and Reigns, I'm sick of that because you don't like because they're not Jim Ross guys. That's why.
Now,
Brock kind of is.
Brock is, yeah.
I want to ask you guys this. What do you think of the odds that Cody Rhodes ends up being the 24/7 champion? And thank you for the super chat,
No.
Black Big Mafia. You guys think that Cody's going to be chasing the title? I don't think so. You know, people joke about it, but I think he's going to get a pretty good push.
I could see Stardust becoming the 24/7 champion.
I don't think we're going to see Stardust. I really don't.
Well, there was talk at one time of having Stardust on one show and Cody Rhodes on the other show. I could see like Cody being a serious character on one show and being Stardust chasing the 24/7 title on the other one. I could see Cody doing that.
That's
For $3 million a year, I would do that.
2-for-1 deal on your contract there. All right, Aaron, you got more super chats?
I think we're caught up now.
All right. So I just want to briefly talk about, the Miz's partner for WrestleMania against the Mysterios is Logan Paul. I mean, this guy's jacked. His brother, Jake, is the boxer. WWE, this is WrestleMania. They had Bad Bunny last year. At least with Logan Paul, the guy looks like he could beat somebody up. So whatever he does in the ring now as a celebrity, I'm going to buy it a little bit more. And his brother's a boxer. So I don't know, Logan Paul does some of that stuff too. So like I can believe this versus Bad Bunny, but it's what WWE does. They always have that celebrity or two at WrestleMania to try to pull in their fan base to become WWE fans. And I'm not surprised here. Mikey T, what do you think? And Logan Paul is one of those guys you look at, you're like, you and your brother became famous off of YouTube. And well, you kind of see why now. These guys are finding their niche. And dude, people that like girls love and guys love to hate or want to be. WWE seems to find people like this.
Yeah, Logan Paul's actually got a little bit of the Pat McAfee vibe to him with the fact that he has a podcast, the impulsive nature where he always brings people onto his shows. Like he actually had the Island Boys on there. He'll do people that are popping in the music industry. And, so a couple of my friends were thinking that he will bring a couple extra eyes to WrestleMania. As we saw last year, he actually got stunned by Kevin Owens in a very quick segment. So I guess this year they're going all the way with it. I was thinking to myself, is this going to be an outlet for Logan Paul to get cheered at the end? watching the segment back from Raw, it really doesn't seem to me like Logan Paul will be getting cheered at the end of this segment. Seems to me like he's going to be getting the 619. That's what it's called, right, guys? The 619.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it seems to me like Rey Mysterio will be hitting that 619 on Logan Paul to get the victory. It's crazy, though, right? I mean, John Morrison would have had this role, but now he's out because The Miz got injured and the WWE lost their creative, their stride. You know what I mean? They lost that stride that they had, and John Morrison ended up meditating in the back, and now he's just, he's about to be meditating on his way to AEW, I'm sure. But, this is going to be an interesting match. Worst case scenario, it ends up on the pre-show. You know what I mean? I think it might be a pre-show match, but probably with Logan Paul's contract.
With 2 nights? No way.
It'll have to be. It'll have to be
on the main
one
of the main nights for sure. Maybe in the mid card, but that's perfect for a celebrity spot.
I don't know. These Mysterios just can't get past the pre-show. You know what I mean? It's like they're having a hard time. But I'll give it to Dom. He almost cut a good promo this week. He said, "I was in that crowd and I watched all the superstars come in and out of the ring, and I lived through them." He didn't hit me with it right. He could have hit me.
Wait, was he trying to cut the promo MJF cut?
He was trying to, you know what I mean? I think he was trying to really come out of his shell. He's not there yet. He's not, and that's why I don't think they can do the thing with his pops just yet, because he's not really all the way there as a,
Ready?
So
the day that Rey Mysterio retires, I would like to wish Dominic the best in his future endeavors.
Triple H will love him.
The Logan Paul thing is interesting to me because I feel like if you're a WWE fan and you know who Logan Paul is, you cannot wait to tune in and see Logan Paul get punched in the face.
Yeah.
If you're anybody else, I don't think you care. Because I don't feel like people are going to tune in to see Logan Paul get punched in the face if they don't already like professional wrestling. I just don't think that he's that level of a celebrity, let alone one that is adored, that people actually like. I just don't see this being a big deal. I agree. It'll be mid-card. When it comes to celebrities at WrestleMania, I use the work test. For those who don't know, I work for a local CBS and Fox affiliate. So I go in on third shift and I get to see all these wonderful shows like TMZ and Daily Mail and Entertainment Tonight. And I want to claw my eyeballs out. But when it comes to, WrestleMania season, do they make TMZ? Do they make Entertainment Tonight? Are they talking about this? Are you putting eyeballs on the product? Last year, Bad Bunny was all over all those shows, and it was a big deal when Bad Bunny went to WrestleMania. I have not heard one mention of it when it comes to Logan Paul. He's just not that big of a celebrity outside of his little bubble.
Right.
Now his brother Jake is like with the boxing's blowing up.
Jake is a much bigger star than Logan.
Yeah. So WWE got the more generic version of it too.
Absolutely. They got the cheaper version of it too. Because they gave all that money to Cody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, they got Tyson back in the day. So if Jake Paul keeps winning boxing matches, bring in Jake.
Well, Logan got beat by Floyd Mayweather, so they got the Paul that got beat.
Yeah.
Aaron, I know you don't really care about now.
I really don't. I have nothing much to add to it. I'm fine with Logan Paul being there. It's a nice little mid-card match, whatever. No big deal to me. He looks in great shape. He looks the part. Maybe
How does he look against Adam Cole? If you put him side by side, you pull someone off the street that doesn't watch wrestling, and you have Logan Paul, and they don't even need to know who Logan Paul is, without a shirt on, and Adam Cole. Who do you think that non-wrestling fan's going to think is a professional wrestler?
I was thinking that Jericho needed to reinvent himself again, and it seems like he's going with this whole influencer thing, and I didn't think that was really going to catch on. So I thought that maybe he should change his name to the Dad Bod God. Ooh, but then all of a sudden he showed up with a six-pack.
Right.
So I think Adam Cole should officially be labeled the Dad Bod God, Adam Cole.
That's good. Like,
And
I
this
get
is
it.
coming from a bunch of guys that wish they had Adam Cole's physique.
No, we all wish we had a dad bod. Oh wait. So
We
all right.
don't like to admit.
Aaron, any other super chats to catch up
Yeah,
on before we?
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to Interstate Kyle. He sent in a 99-cent super chat.
Oh, that's great. It's like paying a toll. Interstate Kyle paid his 99-cent toll right there. I like it.
But
Thank you
Aaron,
for
is it believable that Rey Mysterio can beat Logan Paul? I mean, looking at them there.
Ray, yes. Dominic, no.
Yeah. Because Ray's crafty. He can use that high flying.
We've seen Rey Mysterio slay giants for the last 30 years. I mean,
That's
that
true.
I can buy. Dominic, no. But Ray, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic is still in that rookie phase. But you know what? You got Logan Paul there, who's inexperienced in that counteracts everything. And it's fine. Match is fine. I'm not going to complain.
I'm not saying I want to see Logan Paul in the ring with Dominic. That could be
maybe it'll be entertaining. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
Mongo McMichael entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's a D-list celebrity, whatever. Let's just see what they do. Maybe it'll be better. You set your expectations so low, maybe it'll be halfway decent.
Any other super chats, Aaron?
No, we're caught up.
All right, so main event, Edge cuts a promo on Raw, and he makes an open challenge, more or less, for WrestleMania, and he threw all the cryptics out, but the end of the promo had the word phenomenal. So, gentlemen, too obvious to throw us off a scent of Cody Rhodes? I can't see either. It's one or the other. So, Mikey T, I'm going to start with you. Like, to me, phenomenal at the end, the punctuation there, you think AJ, but is that too obvious? Who is Edge going to face? And I know it's not one of the main events, but it's going to be one of those, still high-profile matches because Edge is a legend. And who should it be? Who do you think it'll be?
Man, so I'm going to go down this checklist that I got right here because you point out a good factor right there. Could he be trying to throw everybody off with AJ Styles so everyone doesn't realize the obvious of Cody Rhodes? Obviously Vince McMahon is going to want to get the most bang for his buck when it comes to Cody. So putting him up against Edge would be one of the most practical things you could do. Now, in the last few months, we've heard all the talk of a potential match with Kevin Owens and Edge. I think that idea has been nixed because they don't really have anything to do with Seth Rollins. So they've paired Rollins and Owens up rather than put them against one another.
And the Steve Austin rumor.
The Steve Austin rumor as well. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe they both take stunners. I don't really know. Finn Balor involved himself with the United States Championship scene. So it looks like he's out of the dance with Edge. And then you got to wonder what's going to happen with AJ Styles and Omos. You got to remember Omos. It doesn't really seem like they actually finished that angle. So when you say that they could be throwing us off there, that could be it. AJ Styles versus Edge, it would be phenomenal. But I think that we more than likely will be getting Edge versus Cody Rhodes in a pretty good match, kind of like similar to the greatest wrestling match ever between them two. I'm not really sure who's going to go over at this point, but I got a feeling that Omos is going to pop back up and they're going to retread and, finish off that feud. I'm pretty sure they never finished it, right, you guys?
Have we seen Omos since the Rumble?
We've seen him a little bit,
I to be fair, I don't watch Raw, so I don't even think I've heard his name come up since the Royal Rumble.
And I think that they've already thrown in the towel on him. That's my gut.
You think so, Aaron?
Wow.
I hope so.
All right.
I kind of wondered when he only had one elimination. Like you would have thought that the Rumble would have been Omos's coming out party, and he was just treated like another freaking guy. And then I hadn't seen his name anywhere. I thought that was rather odd.
Yeah, I thought they were going to wrap it up at Elimination Chamber, but then they ended up putting AJ Styles in the chamber. I thought they were keeping, you know what I mean? I don't want to see AJ Styles wasted at WrestleMania, you know what I mean, against Omos, but I think that they got that in their back pocket. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. I think we'll see Cody Rhodes versus Edge if he does, in fact, come to the company. If Cody isn't brought in until the night after to challenge Roman Reigns at Backlash, then I fully suspect it'll be AJ and Edge.
So, Jargo, here's what I'm thinking. For some reason, I just can't, and it could still happen. I can't see Cody coming in and just getting on WrestleMania card. I can see them holding him off till the night after WrestleMania, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. So with that said, I'm just going to state it's Edge and AJ Styles. That's Finn Balor's with Damian Priest or whatever he's,
Yep.
Is that who he's feuding with?
Yeah, it sure seems
okay.
like
That because we talked about all these, really good workers and how you could pair them together for WrestleMania. If Owens does have any program with Austin or another thing with Rollins, it really makes sense for Edge and AJ Styles. I just can't see Cody in so soon. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because it feels like there's like 5 guys here: Edge, AJ, Cody, Seth, and Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
that are all kind of in this. What do we do with them? And it's really difficult to kind of pair things off without knowing exactly when and where Cody is going to be coming in. I do understand your case for keeping Cody off of WrestleMania. My counter to that would be, they're going to pay him somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million a year. You want him on WrestleMania. I mean, like that just seems logical to me, but where he fits in, I'm really not sure. But we also don't know where Bobby Lashley falls in, and the Lashley injury could cause a bit of a shakeup inside of this card. Where does Randy Orton fit in? Where does Matt Riddle fit in? Are we going to split those 2 guys up? Do we do Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens versus RK Bro at WrestleMania and you do the split up there? I mean, there's so many different things that could kind of fall into order here. And a lot of it, I feel like, is going to depend on, number one, when are we bringing in Cody? And number 2, what is the status for Bobby Lashley? Shout out to Scorpio in the chat who says Cody versus Veer for WrestleMania. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely. Do that up, book it, give Cody a big win on his first night back in the company.
I like it. Aaron Rift.
I'm signing off on that as well. Veer should appear on every show but Raw, and then he just is indefinitely coming to Raw for the
I think Veer should debut on AEW.
Yes. Just call up Tony Khan and say, hey, you guys want to use Veer for a night just for shits and giggles?
Job him out to Hook.
Yeah, have him loose the hook. Bingo.
Veer versus Braun Breaker.
Send him to NXT, send him to SmackDown, just do not have him on Raw.
I made it to the wrong place.
All right, so here's what I think is going to happen for WrestleMania. I think it's going to be AJ Styles versus Edge. Mm-hmm. AJ Styles did tease the idea that he would face Edge. He brought up Edge as one of his dream opponents. I think that's what's going to happen. Edge versus AJ Styles, I think, is your safe bet. And Dylan asked, who do we think is going to be the WrestleMania 38 surprise that is Steve Austin hype level? And he brought up several names. I'm thinking it's just going to be The Undertaker. Undertaker will show up. He's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think he's going to show up at WrestleMania, tombstone somebody, maybe Veer. Maybe Veer comes out and says, I'm here. I have come, and I want to fight. And then Undertaker shows up, tombstones Veer, and then Veer doesn't show up again for another 6 months or whatever. But
Veer is going to have a hell of a career.
I love Jose Garza in the chat. NWA Tuesday, Dynamite Wednesday, Impact Thursday, SmackDown Friday, Revolution on Saturday. Love it. Send Veer.
God, what an awesome life, Jose.
As far as Cody goes, I think him and Seth Rollins seems like a logical WrestleMania match, but also what Virtue said is a possibility. Maybe Cody is saved until the night after WrestleMania. Earlier, we were talking about what kind of reaction he would get. No doubt he'll get a big reaction the night after WrestleMania. That's all the hardcore fans coming in from around the world.
Given the lack of reaction, do you bring Cody in as a babyface or do you bring him in as a heel? Because I feel like that's going to play a big part in this as well.
I think he's a heel. Babyface. To the WWE fans, he's a babyface. He left AEW. He left the opposition.
Do you risk bringing him in as a babyface and having people either not react to him or boo him out of the building?
I don't think he's going to get booed. I think one or two things will happen depending on where he debuts. Either he gets cheered or he gets a very light reaction where a lot of people don't even remember him or know who he is.
Is it better to debut him somewhere like South Carolina, or do you debut him somewhere like New York where you have all the smart fans? Because the smart fans are the ones that are going to boo him out of the building.
Yeah.
Where's Raw after WrestleMania? Is it in Dallas?
I assume it's in Dallas.
It's all the fans from around the world, the hardcore WWE fans, and they're the guys that mark out when Vince McMahon comes out and they start bowing for Vince, even though people complain. So they love WWE. And as far as those fans are concerned, Cody Rhodes is on their team. He left from the other side and came back to their team. He's going to get cheered by the hardcore.
Good point. Yeah.
I'm not concerned about that.
I don't know. He was getting the biggest boos in AEW. Like the people, he was getting that go away heat in AEW. I don't see why that wouldn't follow him to WWE.
That was really weird because it feels like that they were going somewhere with that, and then he just left the company.
Or did they? Yeah,
maybe he left out of embarrassment.
I mean, yeah, people are going to still think it's a work until he actually shows up somewhere. I know that's how it's going to be. But anyways, as far as the rest of the card goes, Kevin Owens, Steve Austin seems to be the thing, whether it's a match or some kind of in-ring segment. Bobby Lashley is a big question mark. We don't know what's up with him. RK Bro probably facing Alpha Academy for the titles. I know they're doing the.
Come on, really, Aaron? That's not a WrestleMania match.
Well, it's a match.
That's a pre-WrestleMania match.
It'd be interesting if Riddle does the turn on Orton there.
The thing is, Chad Gable is finally coming into his own in WWE, and this will be his first WrestleMania match. So I'm happy for the guy if it happens.
Hopefully it goes well for him.
But yeah, I think Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes would be my prediction if they do a match with Cody, and that AJ Styles Edge should be a really fun match, although both guys are faces. Not sure what they're going to do with those guys. And we don't know for sure, Sean, we don't know for sure what's up with Lashley because he hasn't had surgery yet. But I know they're talking like he might be able to come back sooner than that, but we'll see.
Being of what you said, I don't see where Lashley fits in, though. You said, if Owens deals with Austin, then Rollins and Cody Rhodes, if they decide to put him on the card, I don't really see where Bobby Lashley fits into the card. Yeah,
at this point, he might be out of luck.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure all the stars will align. I'm sure it'll all get figured out, and the dirt sheets will get all the scoop before it happens.
Somebody will complain, regardless of what they do.
Any other super chats, Aaron?
I think we're caught up.
We are caught up, so it's time to go around the horn and do our plugs and see if we can get out of here, or if the NoDQ Galaxy will decide to turn on after dark or not. So, Mikey T, welcome back again. I think it was back-to-back weeks for you, right?
Hell yeah, man. It's great to be here on the NoDQ review. It's the best site for for wrestling-related news. I've got the best site for the hip-hop-related news. I actually just did an interview with D12 member Bizarre, about a 45-minute long interview. You guys can check that out on my page at Report Card Radio. But it's always dope to come in onto this channel, NoDQ.com, and talk with the host of the show, Virtue, of course, the owner of the channel, Aaron Rift, and the Dr. Jargo, man.
Pretty cool interview there with Bizarre. I like that. I have to check that out.
Hell yeah, man. I got a lot of information out of Bizarre as far as he was actually the first one signed by Eminem. Atlantic Records wanted to sign him, but Eminem got him a deal with Interscope. He was supposed to come out with a solo album, but then they pushed him on doing the D12 album. Very, very detailed interview, man.
Good times. All right, Jargo.
Shout out to Carl in the chat. Cody versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. That actually could probably steal the show. I think that'd be absolutely fantastic.
I'm thinking they're doing Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville for the Intercontinental title.
Jesus Christ, God.
WWE.
Keep up with me across social media platforms at Not Jargo. And of course, if you haven't jumped on already, Truth Social is going to be coming soon, and you'll be able to find me there at The Science. That's right. Follow The Science, ladies and gentlemen, at The Science over on Truth Social, just because I am that asshole. Also, michaeljargo.com, and big announcements incoming in the next few days about where I may be heading off to my next adventure. So good stuff coming up.
Good times, man. Good to have you on as always. Over to you, Rift.
Just stay tuned to NoDQ.com. We'll have more information about Cesaro, and looks like this will be a fairly slow weekend, but next week things will pick up again. We got Revolution coming up Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll be doing the predictions. Big G will be on for that, and we got a couple other great people on. I'm trying to think of everybody that's on without missing anybody.
Noah Foster,
Colin, Noah, and Steve-O. Thank you for that, Mikey T. I appreciate you helping me out there. We're going to have a 5-person panel for that, and then I think we'll be doing the NoDQ review in our usual time slot next week. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys again. Very much appreciate your continued viewership and support.
And make sure you check out NoDQ.com/merch. And go get the I Am Sorry shirt, where you can actually get an apology from me. And on the back, it says NoDQ.com with the logo and the Virtue logo. But this has been the NoDQ review number 176. Another great episode, another great interaction by the NoDQ Galaxy in the chat. For Mikey T, for Dr. Jargo, and for Aaron Rift, I am Virtue. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. And we will see you again next time.